At the beginning of Ramadan, your body feels strong, your intentions are clear. You wake up with motivation. You organize your time. You promise yourself that this Ramadan will be different. You plan longer prayers, more Quran, more dua, more discipline. And in the first days, it feels possible. Your energy carries you. Your excitement moves you. But then something begins to change. Your sleep becomes shorter. Your hunger becomes sharper. Your body becomes slower during the day. Your focus begins to fade. And suddenly you feel something uncomfortable. You feel tired, not just physically, mentally, spiritually. And part of you begins to worry. You wonder if your Ramadan is becoming weaker. You wonder if you are losing the motivation you started with. But something very important is happening in this moment. Because the real Ramadan does not begin when you feel powerful. It begins when your power disappears. Anyone can worship when energy is high. Anyone can read Quran when the body feels comfortable. Anyone can pray longer when motivation is strong. But the believer who continues when their energy collapses is the believer whose Ramadan has become real. Because when excitement disappears, something deeper is revealed. Sincerity. Now, your worship is not powered by emotion. It is powered by devotion. And devotion weighs far more with Allah. Think about the quiet moment late at night when your body just wants rest. Your eyes feel heavy. Your mind tells you that you have already done enough today. But something inside you still pushes you to stand for prayer. You open the Quran even if it is only for a few minutes. You raise your hands in dua even though you feel tired. Those small acts may seem ordinary to you, but with Allah they carry enormous weight because they are coming from effort, not excitement. Ramadan was never designed to only test your strength. It was designed to reveal your sincerity. And sincerity often appears when energy disappears. So if you feel tired during Ramadan, do not assume your spirituality is fading. Sometimes the tired worship, the quiet effort, the small act you perform despite exhaustion is the exact moment your Ramadan becomes real. Allah is not watching how powerfully you start. He is watching what you do when you are exhausted. Many people begin Ramadan with a powerful burst of motivation. You set new goals. You promise yourself that this will be the Ramadan that changes you. You plan how much Quran you will read. You think about how long you will stand in prayer. You imagine how disciplined your days will become. And in the beginning, everything feels possible. Your energy is high. Your heart feels inspired. Your schedule feels organized. But as the days pass, the reality of fasting begins to settle into your body. Your sleep becomes lighter. Your nights become shorter. Your body begins to feel the weight of the fast. You notice that your concentration during prayer is not the same as the first days. Your mind becomes tired more quickly. Your body begins asking for rest. And in these moments, many people start feeling disappointed in themselves. They think their Ramadan is becoming weaker. They think they are losing the strength they started with. But Allah is not evaluating Ramadan the way people evaluate performance. Allah is not impressed by how powerful your beginning looks. He is watching something deeper. He is watching what you do when the excitement disappears. Because when energy fades, sincerity becomes visible. When motivation fades, intention becomes clear. Anyone can worship when they feel inspired. Anyone can recite Quran when their mind feels fresh. Anyone can stand in prayer when their body feels comfortable. But the believer who continues when exhaustion arrives is showing something very different. They are showing loyalty. They are showing commitment to Allah that does not depend on emotion. And that type of worship carries a special weight with Allah. Sometimes the quiet prayer you perform while tired, the short recitation you complete even though your focus is weak, the small dua you whisper before sleeping, these moments may look small in your eyes. But with Allah, they may carry more sincerity than the energetic worship of the beginning. Because now you are not worshiping because it feels easy. You are worshiping because Allah deserves your worship. And that is the type of devotion Ramadan is meant to reveal. When fasting weakens your body, Allah is strengthening something deeper inside you. Fasting changes the human being in a way that few other acts of worship can. When you fast, your body experiences limitation. You feel hunger. You feel thirst. Your energy becomes lower during the day. From the outside, it may look like weakness. But fasting was never meant to strengthen your body. It was meant to awaken your heart. When the body is comfortable, the world feels very loud. Your desires become stronger. Your distractions become constant. Your attention moves from one thing to another without pause. Comfort has a way of making the heart forget its dependence on Allah. But fasting interrupts that comfort. It reminds you that your strength is temporary. It reminds you that your control over your own body is limited. Even something as simple as water becomes valuable when you cannot have it. Even a small meal becomes meaningful when you have been hungry all day. And this experience slowly humbles the human being. It softens the heart. It makes you more aware of your own weakness. And that awareness pushes the heart closer to Allah. Because when the body becomes weaker, the soul becomes more aware. You begin to notice your patience more clearly. You notice how you react when you are tired. You notice how easily anger can appear when hunger is present. And these moments teach you something important about yourself. They reveal the state of your heart. This is one of the hidden purposes of fasting. It exposes your inner character so that you can improve it. It shows you where patience is needed. It shows you where discipline must grow. And it reminds you that your strength does not come from food or rest alone. Your real strength comes from your connection with Allah. So when your body feels weak during Ramadan, do not rush to escape that feeling. There is wisdom inside it. Sometimes Allah lowers your physical strength so that your spiritual awareness can rise. And through that awareness, your heart becomes stronger than it has ever been before. The heavier Ramadan feels, the more valuable your worship becomes. There are moments in Ramadan when everything feels light. Your heart feels calm in prayer. Your recitation flows easily. Your dua feels sincere. You feel connected. You feel peaceful. In those moments, worship feels beautiful. But Ramadan is not always like that. There are also days when everything feels heavy. Your body feels drained from fasting. Your mind feels slow. Your concentration during prayer becomes difficult. You try to focus, but your thoughts keep wandering. You try to stand longer in prayer, but your legs feel tired. And in those moments, many people begin to worry. They assume their worship has become weaker. They assume something is wrong with their Ramadan. But heaviness does not mean your worship is losing value. In many cases, it means your worship is becoming more valuable, because the reward of an act of worship increases when effort increases. When something is easy, your body is cooperating with you. But when something is difficult, your sincerity is carrying you forward. And Allah sees that effort. He sees the moment you stand in prayer, even though your body wants rest. He sees the page of Quran you read even when your eyes feel heavy. He sees the patience you hold during hunger and thirst. Nothing about that struggle is lost. Every moment of effort is recorded. Every act of patience is counted. Every struggle in worship becomes weight on your scale of reward. The Prophet ﷺ taught that the greater the difficulty a believer faces in doing something for Allah, the greater the reward becomes. Not because Allah wants to burden His servants, but because struggle reveals sincerity. Anyone can worship when it feels comfortable. But when worship feels heavy and you still continue, that is devotion. And devotion carries enormous value with Allah. So when Ramadan begins to feel difficult, do not assume something is wrong. Sometimes the moments that feel the hardest are the moments that are rising highest in reward. Your tired prayer, your slow recitation, your quiet patience during hunger. These may be the exact acts that Allah loves the most. The night you almost give up is often the night your worship rises highest. There will be nights in Ramadan when your body reaches its limit. Your day was long. Your fast felt heavy. Your energy feels completely drained. When night finally arrives, your body only wants rest. Your bed feels comfortable. Your mind tells you that you deserve to sleep early tonight. You tell yourself that missing one night of extra prayer will not matter. And in that quiet moment, a small decision appears. No one else sees it. No one else hears it. It is only between you and Allah. You either turn toward your bed or you stand up for prayer. These moments may seem small, but they carry enormous meaning, because sincerity appears most clearly when no one is watching, when there is no audience, when there is no pressure, when the decision belongs only to your heart. And if in that moment, despite the exhaustion, you still choose Allah, something beautiful happens. You stand in prayer even though your body feels tired. You whisper dua even though your voice feels quiet. You open the Quran even if it is only for a few minutes. Those small acts may not feel impressive to you, but with Allah they carry incredible value, because they come from sacrifice. They come from effort. They come from a heart that chose Allah over comfort. The believer is not defined by the nights that feel easy. The believer is defined by the nights when worship feels difficult, but they still continue. Sometimes the prayer you struggle through with exhaustion. Sometimes the dua you whisper with tired hands raised. Sometimes the Quran you read with heavy eyes. Those acts rise higher with Allah than the prayers you performed when energy was high, because they come from sincerity. And sincerity shines brightest in the moments when giving up feels easiest. So if there is a night in Ramadan when you almost give up, but you still turn toward Allah, know that this may be the night your worship rises the highest. When your motivation disappears, your sincerity finally appears. There is a stage in every Ramadan that many people do not expect. The beginning of the month feels powerful. Your heart feels alert. Your schedule feels organized. Your motivation feels strong. You wake up with determination. You approach worship with excitement. But after some time, something quietly changes. The excitement fades. The emotional intensity becomes calmer. Your routine becomes familiar. And suddenly you notice something strange. Your motivation is no longer as strong as it was in the beginning. Your emotions feel quieter. Your heart does not feel the same excitement during every prayer. And this moment confuses many people. They begin to worry. They think something is wrong with their heart. They think their Ramadan is weakening. But something important is actually happening, because motivation is not the foundation of worship. Emotion rises and falls. Excitement appears and disappears. Even the strongest believer cannot live on constant emotional energy. But sincerity is something different. Sincerity does not depend on feelings. It does not depend on excitement. It does not depend on emotional highs. Sincerity appears when a person continues worship even when they do not feel emotionally inspired. When you stand in prayer even though you feel tired, when you read Quran even though your mind feels quiet, when you make dua even though your emotions are calm, that is when sincerity becomes visible. You are no longer worshiping because it feels powerful. You are worshiping because Allah deserves your worship. And that type of devotion is far deeper, because true worship is not built on emotional excitement. It is built on loyalty. Loyalty to Allah even when the heart feels calm. Loyalty to Allah even when the body feels tired. Loyalty to Allah even when motivation disappears. And sometimes the worship that feels the quietest, the most ordinary, the least emotional, is the worship that carries the greatest sincerity, because it is coming from a heart that chose Allah without needing emotional reward. And that is the type of devotion Ramadan is meant to grow inside you. The tired prayer you force yourself to complete may be the one Allah loves most. There are moments in Ramadan when prayer feels beautiful. Your heart feels present. Your mind feels focused. Your recitation feels meaningful. Those moments feel powerful. But there are also moments when prayer feels very different. Your body feels exhausted. Your eyes feel heavy. Your mind struggles to concentrate. You begin the prayer, but your thoughts drift. You feel like you are barely holding your attention together. And in those moments, many people feel discouraged. They think their prayer has little value. They think their focus is not strong enough. They think Allah will not accept something that feels so imperfect. But Allah does not expect perfection from human beings. He knows your weakness. He knows your fatigue. He knows the limits of your body. And sometimes the prayer that feels the most difficult to complete is the prayer that Allah loves the most. Because that prayer was not easy. That prayer required effort. That prayer required patience. That prayer required you to push through your exhaustion. And Allah sees every part of that struggle. He sees the moment you stand, even though your legs feel weak. He sees the moment you continue reciting, even though your mind feels tired. He sees the moment you finish the prayer, even though your body wanted to stop. Nothing about that effort is lost. The angels record every moment, every step toward prayer, every breath taken in worship, every second of patience. And sometimes the prayer that felt small to you may carry enormous weight with Allah because it came from effort, not comfort. Because it came from sincerity, not ease. So never underestimate the tired prayer. Never underestimate the small act of worship you perform while exhausted, because the moments when your body feels weakest may be the moments when your devotion shines the strongest. And those are often the moments Allah loves the most. The moment you continue worshiping without strength is the moment Allah elevates you. By the time Ramadan reaches its later days, many people begin to feel the weight of the month. Your body has been fasting for many days. Your sleep has been interrupted night after night. Your energy is not the same as it was in the beginning. At this stage, your body begins asking for relief. Your mind feels slower. Your focus during worship becomes more difficult. And part of you quietly wonders if you have done enough already. But this is actually one of the most important moments of Ramadan, because the final stage of Ramadan reveals something deeper about your relationship with Allah. In the beginning, your worship may have been supported by motivation. In the middle, it may have been supported by discipline. But in the end, your worship is supported by something greater. Trust in Allah. You continue fasting even when your body feels tired. You continue praying even when your energy is low. You continue making dua even when your voice feels quiet. And this is where something beautiful begins to happen. Because when a believer continues turning to Allah without strength, Allah begins to elevate that believer in ways they cannot see. Every step toward prayer becomes heavier on the scale of reward. Every moment of patience becomes more valuable. Every act of worship performed through exhaustion becomes more sincere. These are the moments when your heart is purified. These are the moments when your dependence on Allah becomes real. You are no longer worshiping because it feels powerful. You are worshiping because your heart has chosen Allah above comfort. And Allah loves that type of devotion. Many people think Ramadan is about finishing the month. But Ramadan was never about endurance alone. It was about transformation. It was about training the heart to remain loyal to Allah even when the body feels weak. And when a believer reaches the point where their strength fades but their devotion continues, that is when Allah begins raising their rank. That is when their worship becomes heavier. That is when their heart becomes closer to Him. So if you reach the end of Ramadan feeling tired, feeling imperfect, feeling like your energy is gone, do not think your Ramadan is ending weak. Sometimes the moment your strength disappears is the moment Allah is elevating you the most.